Join Ivan on his epic journey from a simple farmer to a legendary hero. When a mysterious giant white horse destroys his family's farm, Ivan sets out to uncover the truth. Along the way, he befriends magical creatures, faces the greedy king, tames the mighty Firebird, and rescues a frozen princess. With courage and wit, he overcomes impossible challenges, proving that true bravery lies in kindness and determination. Will he defeat the evil king and claim his destiny? This man named Ivan was the son of a farm owner. Recently, the farm's crops had been frequently trampled by something, so that night, Ivan went out to the field to investigate. It turned out to be a giant white horse. Ivan quickly tied a rope around its neck, but to his surprise, the glowing creature bolted away. Eventually, it ran too fast and fell into a lake. Ivan, seeing this, tried to rescue it, but no matter how much strength he used, he couldn't pull it out. Then he noticed a watermill wheel nearby. Thinking quickly, he tied the rope to the wheel and climbed up to turn it. Thanks to that, he successfully pulled the white horse from the water. The horse, touched by his kindness, shed tears and thanked Ivan by summoning a mystical mist. The next morning, Ivan woke up to find two majestic horses and a small donkey beside him, who could speak human language. The white horse he had rescued was actually a magical creature. To show its gratitude, it decided to recognize Ivan as its master. However, before he could rejoice, trouble arose. The white horse, during its frantic escape last night, had trampled the rice fields, causing severe losses to the farm. Knowing he could not undo the damage, Ivan mounted the little donkey and left. To his surprise, the donkey ran incredibly fast, and whenever it brayed, the two majestic horses would come running from afar. Together, they traveled toward the kingdom. As soon as they entered the city gates, Ivan and his extraordinary horses attracted attention. Some people even offered large sums of money to buy the two rare horses. Unfortunately, the greedy king witnessed this scene. He was well known for his insatiable greed, and upon seeing such splendid horses, he naturally wanted them for himself. Since Ivan did not dare oppose the king, he had no choice but to obey. However, the clever donkey, sensing Ivan's reluctance, let out a loud bray, and the two horses immediately ran back to their master. The furious king gave chase in his royal carriage, but unexpectedly, the vehicle crashed into a flower cart, covering him in white powder, turning him into a comical version of Snow White. Enraged and humiliated, the king devised a cruel plan. He assigned Ivan a nearly impossible task, to slay the fire phoenix that had been attacking his soldiers. If he succeeded, the king would not only spare him but also recognize him as a hero. Left with no other option, Ivan set off once more, riding his trusty donkey. Along the way, his intelligent horses informed him that the fire phoenix's favorite food was pine cones. Sure enough, after a short journey, they arrived at an oasis where the phoenix resided. Ivan cleverly set out a pile of pine cones, and soon, a dazzling, fiery bird emerged, lighting up the sky. The phoenix eagerly snatched the pine cones, tossing them into the air before swallowing them whole. As expected, it loved pine cones and devoured them one after another. However, suddenly, the phoenix became dizzy and collapsed to the ground. Ivan had mixed sleeping powder into the pine cones. Just as he was celebrating, the bird stirred and, in a fit of rage, lunged at him. At the last second, the little donkey bravely jumped in to shield Ivan. The fire phoenix, now in a complete fury, unleashed a fiery blast, setting the oasis ablaze. Cornered, Ivan threw the last pine cone into the air. The phoenix instinctively caught it in its beak, only to fall into a deep slumber moments later. The next day, Ivan returned to the palace with the bound phoenix. However, upon seeing its pitiful, tearful eyes, he realized he couldn't bring himself to harm it. Instead, he untied its shackles and set it free. The fire phoenix gratefully spread its wings and soared into the sky, leaving behind a single glowing feather as a gift. Upon returning to the kingdom, Ivan presented the feather as proof of his feat. However, the king scoffed at it, claiming it was nothing more than an ordinary chicken feather. Outraged, he ordered Ivan's execution. Just as the sentence was about to be carried out, the sky suddenly glowed, and the fire phoenix itself appeared, casting its golden radiance upon the palace. The citizens erupted in cheers, proclaiming Ivan a true hero. Realizing he had lost face, the king devised yet another task for Ivan. This time, he commanded him to venture to the frozen kingdom and bring back a beautiful princess. Ivan had no choice but to embark on yet another journey. After days of climbing treacherous peaks, he finally reached an ice castle atop a towering mountain. Approaching the gate, Ivan walked forward without caution, only to be slammed into an invisible barrier. It was a magic wall. At that moment, the fire phoenix's feather shimmered, dispelling the enchantment in an instant. As he ventured inside, he found the princess, deep in slumber. One touch of the feather awakened her, and as soon as their eyes met, they fell in love. The princess, intrigued by the outside world, eagerly agreed to leave with Ivan. However, descending from such a high castle was no easy task. Suddenly, the princess pulled Ivan close and leaped off the edge. They floated gently down using her billowing dress, but strong winds soon separated them, leaving Ivan clinging desperately to her undergarments. Luckily, the donkey sprouted wings just in time to catch them and safely land on the ground. Returning to the kingdom, Ivan was hailed as a hero. But the jealous king locked the princess away, intending to marry her himself. That night, Ivan sneaked into her room to visit her, but before he could say much, the door was knocked on. It was the royal tailor, coming to measure the princess for her wedding gown. Furious, Ivan knew he had to stop this marriage. The king, unwilling to let Ivan go, assigned him yet another impossible task: to subdue the giant whale that had swallowed many fishermen over the past 500 years. When Ivan arrived, he saw the massive creature, mistaken for an island due to its size. But upon seeing its sorrowful, teary eyes, he couldn't bear to harm it. Instead, Ivan devised a plan to save it. He and his donkey flew into the whale's nostrils and journeyed deep into its body. Inside, the space resembled a starry sky. The donkey flapped its wings, tickling the whale's nose until it let out an enormous sneeze, snapping its chains and freeing it. As the whale rose to the surface, dozens of fishing boats that had been swallowed were also released. Grateful, the whale gifted Ivan a magical ring. However, the king, still plotting against him, sent guards to seize him. Ivan's beloved horse was shot and killed, and he was sentenced to execution. The princess wept, but at that moment, a small chick outside the window chirped, leading her to the injured donkey. Summoning her courage, she revealed that only a rare dandelion flower from the edge of the world could resurrect the dead. Despite his injuries, the donkey ran tirelessly through the night and retrieved the magical flower. The next day, the king forced Ivan to undergo a deadly test. He had to survive 3 boiling cauldrons, one filled with scalding water, another with freezing ice, and the last with boiling oil. Ivan knew this was a death sentence. Before jumping in, he declared his love for the princess. As he was pushed into the first cauldron, she threw in the enchanted ring, and miraculously, he emerged unharmed. The fire phoenix then dropped a feather into the freezing cauldron, allowing Ivan to survive yet again. Finally, he leaped into the boiling oil, and to everyone's shock, he emerged transformed into a radiant being. The people cheered. The furious king, envious of Ivan's newfound power, leaped into the cauldron himself, only to be instantly boiled alive. His body burst into a giant bubble and floated away into the heavens. And so, Ivan became the new king, ruling wisely alongside his beloved princess. Of course, the little donkey remained by his side, forever faithful.